What's up, guys? It's your boy Tasty, and we are doing playoff predictions that start today. I am rushing to get this in and out on time, so let's get right into it. We have the number one seed Flyers. Oh, it sounds great. Against the Montreal Canadiens, and thank you, Montreal, for eliminating Pittsburgh. I enjoyed every second of it. The only thing that worried me was them getting the number one overall pick. They didn't. So I got to celebrate even more. It was great. Thanks again. And I'll be honest, I'm a little uneasy because of the carry price factor. But you know what? I'm extremely confident in Philly's forechecking ability. I think they'll be on the puck. I do think this will be a low scoring series. I don't think you're going to get a lot of 4 or 5 goals a team. I think you'll get a few 2-1 finals, 3-2 finals. You know, depending on empty net, you might see like a 3-1 or 4-2. But I think the goaltending in the series is going to be outstanding. But in the end, I think the Flyers are going to have a better chance with their forwards, especially if the core really wakes up. Giroux, Voracek, Couturier. I think once they get going, that means the power play will more than likely get going, and by that point, I think it's just a matter of time until Philly wins. The last time these two teams met was in 2010, where Mike Richards had that infamous shorthanded goal. That was great. You know, I'll be honest, that series, I remember, I'm like, oh, Montreal doesn't stand a chance against us. We were rolling after Boston. But anyway, I'll say Flyers in 6. So we have Tampa against the Blue Jackets, which is the first game today. And God, aren't the hockey gods funny? Last playoff series, we already know. Last year, 4-game sweep, Blue Jackets over Tampa. And man, I loved it. That's why I was rooting for Columbus to win this. Once the 1 and 2 seed was decided, I was rooting for Columbus to win that series against Montreal, and they didn't disappoint. But, and I'm sure Tampa players will reach, oh, we just got to stick to our game. We're not worried about last year. Last year was last year. Nah. They're thinking about last year all the time now. And it's going to get some points in this series, I think. I think it's going to cost them a game or two, even. But in the end, I think Tampa Bay will get their revenge against the Blue Jackets. And I have Tampa in 7 over Columbus. Next up, we have the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders. And, you know, I think this is going to be closer maybe than some people are giving the Islanders credit for. I mean, Barry Trotz is an excellent coach. And honestly, it could depend on which team shows up on both sides, you know. I mean, at least the Capitals are coming in on a win against a very non-impressive looking Boston team. I don't know what happened to them. But anyway, you know, Washington's coming in on a win at least. But, you know, and the Islanders played a Panthers team that probably shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. But 24 teams, some teams get in. But, I mean, hey, look at the Canadiens and Blackhawks. They shouldn't have been there, and they've made the playoffs. But I'm actually going Islanders in 7. This would be, I guess you could say, is my upset. But part of me is like, yeah, I mean, that I could see that. But again, it depends on which side shows up. Are we having, you know, Holtby not at his best? Or are we having just everybody not being at their best on both sides? But, you know, whoever shows up to play will win this series. If both teams show up to play, yeah, Washington has, I think, maybe a better chance to win it. But overall, I have Islanders in 7. And the last time they met in a playoff series was 2015, where the Caps won in 7 games. Bruins Hurricanes. Worst possible matchup for the Bruins. And honestly, either of Bruins or Capitals, you know, coming in 3 straight losses in the play-in round against a Hurricanes team that swept the Rangers and looked damn good doing it. A Hurricanes team that is going to get Dougie Hamilton back more than likely. You know, I'm still questioning the goaltending for Carolina, but look, it worked out for him last year. It's working for him this year, it seems. And, people online I've seen, and a lot of people on like NBC Sports and NHL Network talking about, oh, well, the Bruins, they'll turn it on. They're a veteran team. They'll turn it on. They know when to turn it on. This playing round, sure, it was for seeding, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything for their playoff hopes, which I agree. But that's a dangerous game to play, especially against a team like Carolina with Sebastian Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen. Those three alone, that's a dangerous game to be playing with this team. And I don't think it's going to work in the Bruins' favor. I wasn't impressed with them at all throughout the play. Now, I watched every game of the qualifiers and the play-ins. I was not impressed with the Bruins. I was very impressed with Carolina. And you're going to see that, I think. Bruins will win a couple games, sure. But unlike last year, Bruins swept, 4-0 in the conference final. This year, they opened the playoffs against Carolina. And I got Carolina in 6. I don't think they're going to be able to stop them. Good thought. Oh, we'll just turn it on in the first round when the games actually count. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I just don't. Sorry. Now out west, we have the Vegas Golden Knights against the Chicago Blackhawks. I love that both Hub City teams got eliminated too. So it's like, yeah, great. We're still playing hockey in your city. Get out though. I was not surprised by Chicago. I picked Edmonton in my super early prediction video I did a few months ago. But at the same time, look, Chicago has the experience. Kane, Taves, Keith, Crawford, Brandon Saad, he's been there for a cup or two, I forget how many. But they have the experience. They know how to play in a pressure situation. Whereas, Oilers, they had that one good run under McDavid. But other than McDavid and Draisaitl, who were the Oilers? I don't think the rest of the team is impressive at all. Goaltending, I think, is weak for the Oilers, and it showed. I mean, it was actually a really good series. I enjoyed this qualifying round series between the Blackhawks and Oilers. But at the end of the day, I think the experience factor played a major role in the Blackhawks winning and moving on. With that being said, Vegas has a lot of experience. Sure, maybe not winning cups, but the players on their team, the Stasnys, the Stones, even though he was with Ottawa, but they have Fleury. That's what I was forgetting. I'm like the big name. They have players that know how to win, have come from winning backgrounds. I think overall the makeup of Vegas is a lot stronger than Edmonton, and you're gonna see that. Much like most Vegas matchups you'll find, it's gonna be a first time matchup in the playoffs, and yeah, it's maybe look. I have Vegas sweeping Blackhawks. It's also really funny that Leonard is going up against his old team that traded him this year, but. We'll see who they ride. I think they are going to ride Leonard to start. We'll see if he stays or Fleury comes in at one point. And yeah, I have Vegas sweeping the Blackhawks. It was a nice chance for them to get into the playoffs, but at the end of the day, Vegas has been a playoff team where Chicago got lucky because of this format to make the playoffs. They had the chance to and made. And that's just Edmonton's fault, really. Vegas in 4. Colorado and Coyotes. Arizona again. Arizona was my upset pick, and I'm mad on Twitter right before the game started. I changed it to Nashville. I'm like, you know what? I'm going Nashville. Nashville's gonna get into the playoffs. And look, Arizona they brought it. Arizona brought it to Nashville, and good for them. Good for them for getting in. I'm proud. I mean, I love the jerseys. So, good for them for getting in. But look, you're playing Colorado, a healthy Colorado. Thanks for playing, Coyotes. I also have Avalanche sweeping this series 4 straight. The Dallas Stars and Calgary Flames. This might possibly have been, this or a Carolina team might have been the worst matchup to draw if you were a round robin team. I said it was a coin flip series between the two, but once Scheifele, once Lane went down, I said, oh, Calgary's got this series. I don't see Winnipeg coming back or being able to make up for the huge losses that those players are. And sure enough, we saw, Calgary moved right on. And against the Stars team, they won in a shootout against the Blues. But I didn't really find them overly impressive throughout the season. I tell you, like, these 3 and 4 seeds on both sides, I'm like, ooh, like, I don't know about these teams. Dallas, again, scoring troubles. And I said Dallas would figure it out during the long layoff. I don't know if they have. Goaltending-wise, I don't know if I missed something with Bishop getting hurt or I don't know. But still, even if he started, I think the result would be the same no matter who's in net. And I have the Calgary Flames moving on in 6 games. The last time they met was 1981, and the Stars won 4 games to 2. I think it'll be different in 2020, and Flames in 6. Next up, we got the Blues and the Canucks. And I like the Canucks team, I do. The last time they met in the playoffs too, Canucks swept the Blues in 2009. But right now, I don't see Vancouver I know the Blues dropped from 1 to 4, but I don't see Vancouver being at that level to beat the Blues. I don't think they're there yet. They're getting there. I like the direction the team's going from what I see of it. Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, everybody walks with Elias. And I like the direction they're going, but I don't think they're there yet. I think the Blues are a team that will be able to turn it on come this first round. And I have the Blues moving on in 5 games. Which brings us to our second round now. We have the Flyers against the Islanders. Last time they met was 1987. The Flyers won 4 games to 3. The Islanders swept the Flyers this year in regular season. And I know regular season doesn't matter come playoffs, and the regular season was so long ago that really it doesn't matter. We're practically in a new season as is, the timing of everything. And I think it'll go differently this time around. I think they'll have to rely on Carter Hart to make a little more saves than say maybe in the last round against Montreal. But I think at the end of the day, I think the Flyers will move on. They're gonna have Giroux in them. They're gonna have to play this series. It's not gonna be this series you can't rely on just depth players. You're gonna need the big guns to show up for sure. I think the power play is gonna need to start clicking. Penalty kill is going to need to stay solid as it is. Barzell's a threat as always. But I think in the end the Flyers will move on. I have the Flyers in 6. And the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Carolina Hurricanes, a first-time playoff matchup. And this is kind of interesting, I think. Tampa, provided they win the first round, should be feeling good about themselves. They avenged their demons of last year. It was like when the Flyers came back in 2010 against the Bruins, only for the Bruins to play the Flyers the next year, sweep them, go on to win the Cup. Yeah, we know. But I think this will be a fun series. And health, I think, is going to be a question. Will the whole Carolina team be healthy coming into this? I know they had a lot of injuries throughout the year. By this time, will Stamkos and Hedman be playing? I don't know the status of them, so I did a quick check. It said Hedman and Stamkos were out for at least game 1 of the Columbus series today. But we'll see. Will these teams stay healthy? Will they get healthy? And I think it's going to be an offensive series. I think you're going to get a lot of goals for sure. And you know what? I'm going to say the Hurricanes will win this series in 7. It's going to be a great series, I think. The Vegas Golden Knights against the Calgary Flames, first-time matchup. Vegas went 3-0 in the season series. And honestly, I was looking at the scores for their previous matchups, and they weren't really close. Vegas, really took it to Calgary throughout the regular season. Again, means nothing now, but it's interesting to look back at for sure. And I think the series will come down to goaltending. And I would much rather take Leonard and Fleury over Riddick and Talbot, which I'm honestly surprised Talbot got the starting role, but he's looked good in it. So, it's working for Calgary. We'll keep riding what works, honestly. And if that leads them past Vegas, great. I don't think it will. Riddick will maybe see some action in his series. I don't think he's going to be able to stop Vegas. Vegas is just going to bring it and bring it and bring it. And Calgary will win. Don't worry. Calgary's not going to get swept out this series. But at the end of the day, I have Vegas moving on in 6 games. Should be a fun series. Could be a physical series too. But should be fun. And the Avs and Blues, this is my coin toss series of the whole playoffs. I think this could definitely go either way this series. It should be excellent. It should be exciting. And I gotta go Colorado in 7. I think this absolutely will go all 7 games. It'll be back and forth every single game. No team will look like they're gonna, have the clear advantage. It's gonna be great. Lots of goals, I think, too. Lots of good defensive play. Some good goaltending. I think the series is going to have everything in it, and I can't wait. But the last time they met, the Avs won 4-1 in 2001, and I think Avalanche will win this in 7. Which brings us to our conference finals. The Flyers against our Hurricanes should be an exciting series for sure. They've never met in the playoffs, which kind of surprised me. I would have swore they met like one time in an opening round, I don't know, like 10 years ago or so, like in the late 2000s or something like that. But they never did. And it could be really good. I think both teams will be flying up and down the ice, chances all around. And Carolina, I think they're going to hit that wall again. They're not going to get swept. I don't think they'll get swept by Philly, not like last year. But I do think this will go all 7. I think, but I think they'll hit that wall. And the only thing that worries me of it going to a 7th game is the Justin Williams factor. I'll always be a fan of Mr. Game 7, but I think they hit that wall. Carter Hart will be lights out in Game 7. And Flyers will move on to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 2010. Yay! And on the Western Conference Final, a matchup we were robbed of last year. Is a first-time matchup, but San Jose robbed us of this last year. And that is Vegas against Avalanche. And this one pulls my brain the most because in the bracket challenges I've made on NHL's website, I go 50-50 on this. Yeah, I'm just like, one bracket here, I got Vegas moving on. Another bracket here, I got Colorado moving on. I've even changed it while I was writing it out. I'm like, I'll go this team. Let me go back and change it. And I don't know who will win this series, honestly. It'll be fun. This is one I'm looking forward to if we get it. I was looking forward to this series last year because I had already figured San Jose wasn't going to win, but they did. That comeback was great. But we'll get it, and it'll be on a bigger stage. Winner goes to the Cup. Vegas looking to get back, for the second time in their short, history. But I think they will. I almost just changed my mind again. I think Vegas in 7 games will move on. I really like the makeup of Vegas's team, and the Golden Knights will go back to the Stanley Cup final, where we have 2 number 1 seeds, the Philadelphia Flyers and the Vegas Golden Knights. And if I'm not mistaken, if they determine home ice based off of regular season point percentage, because of these 2 teams being number 1 seed, that would mean the Flyers would have home ice. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I missed an announcement saying how they would do it, or if they do it differently. I don't know. But if it is 2 number 1 seeds and they do it by the point percentage, I believe the Flyers have home ice, which is huge. I said it's huge throughout this whole thing that they have it, because Vigneault is a great matchup coach from what I've seen. And he knows who to send out at the right time in the right moments of games. And I was telling friends, I'm like, look, I understand why his Rangers teams were really good against us. Like, I obviously didn't follow his time in Vancouver or New York that much, but I always hated playing the Rangers. And look, I know I'll probably get accused of being a homer. And you know what? I'm not sorry. Not at all. This Flyers team has something special. This is going to be a great series. But this Flyers team has something special. The way they battled, finding out about, Oscar, the way they battled for him, and they came back, seeing him for the first time since his diagnosis, to the fact that he could potentially play in this series if we get here. If the Flyers get to like a conference final, he could potentially play, which is mind-blowing to me. So the fact that he could be there in that bubble with them, the fact that he could be on the ice playing a game in the Stanley Cup final, it's unbelievable. There's something magical about this team. They're playing for each other. I haven't been this confident in the Flyers since, I guess when they beat Pittsburgh in that great series 2012. But even then, compared to now, it's so much higher than it was back then. Like, there's something great about this team right now. And they're young. They have a great mix of veterans who've been there with Niskanen, along with like just the energy of the young players. It's just, they're there. And Vegas, they have a few older bodies for sure. And I think that's going to play against. I think the Flyers forecheck will definitely use that to their advantage. And if they're just going to tire Vegas out throughout this series, no matter how many games it goes, 5, 6, 7, they'll just grind away at Vegas and chip and all of that. And it's just, and you know what? Get ready, Flyers fans. The drought is going to be over. This is our year. I will see you all on Broad Street, because there's going to be some kind of rogue parade that people will say, oh, don't do it. I'll be out there, mask and all. I don't care. This is a moment I've been waiting for forever. This is all I want to see. I've seen the Phillies, I've seen the Eagles, but none of that matters compared to the Flyers. And this is our damn year. Flyers in 6, Stanley Cup champions. I've said I'm gonna strip down, paint myself orange. You'll catch me running down Broad Street with a homemade Stanley Cup out of beer cans. And we're gonna do it, fam. We'll be there. We got this. I'll see you in Broad Street.